Hey there, how's it going? March is here, and that means we have another month of more game jams than anyone could possibly keep up with. And like last month, here's some jams happening in March that I think are interesting. So if you're in the market to take part in a game jam anytime soon, some of these may be interesting and worth checking out. I obviously can't cover all the jams happening this month, and I'm mostly focusing on jams that have some sort of focus to them or a good community around them. Basically, I take part in and look at a lot of game jams, and these are the ones that stood out as interesting to me, so I thought I would share. If there are game jams happening in the month of March that I don't talk about here that you're excited about, please leave them in the comments below so others can see. So without any further ado, let's jump in. This list is in no particular order, and links to the jams mentioned as well as the main itch jam page will all be in the description below. We'll start off with the 18th annual 7-day Roguelike challenge. Starting on March 5th and ending on the 13th, participants have a max of 7 days to create a roguelike experience. The time frame is a bit different than most jams, so make sure to check the page for all the info. While the term roguelike and roguelite are used interchangeably a lot, the 7-day Roguelike challenge defines a roguelike as traditionally procedurally generated RPGs in the mold of Rogue, with turn-based interactions in a grid-based environment, where levels are procedurally generated each playthrough and death is permanent. They do leave the door open to interpretation, but if you're a fan of these types of games, this is the challenge for you. The Endless Game Jam is focused around making a game that's, well, endless. Like with the 7-day Roguelike challenge, it's a great way to play around with some form of procedural generation, whether it's terrain, waves of enemies, or something else entirely. One thing to keep in mind is that the longer you do something, the more boring it can get, so participants will definitely want to play with ways to shake up the gameplay as time goes on. Running from the 8th to the 14th, there's plenty of time to design and create some fun concepts. How would you approach creating a game with no end? For those of you that want to jam but aren't into programming, there's the OST Composing Jam, where the objective is to compose an original soundtrack of any style for an imaginary game. Participants will have 48 hours from March 4th to the 6th to create their music, and the final product needs to consist of at least one track that's longer than 2 minutes and less than 10. You get to choose the fictional game type you're working with, and a theme will be provided for inspiration. I feel like audio and sound is a bit of a niche within our own indie game niche, but it's massively important for games. So for those of you that are not like me and able to create music, this may be right up your alley. Technically starting February 28th, but running through the entire month of March, is the NaNoRenO 2022 Jam, where devs are challenged to create a visual novel from start to finish. Most game jams tend to focus on mechanics and gameplay, so this is a nice change of pace to focus on story and making a narrative experience for your players. Even if you've never made a visual novel before, the jam page has a bunch of resources to get you up and running. So if you've got a story to tell, this could be a great way to get it started. Now heading back to a bit more traditional style of jam, from the 12th to the 15th, you can let your retro flag fly with the Pixel Game Jam. As a fan and creator of pixel art, I'm gonna be a bit biased here, of course. This jam is about bringing the pixel art loving community together to make experiences with tiny squares. The rules say the game can be 2D or 3D, but it needs to be pixel or pixel styled at all times. The themed Horror Game Jam number 5 runs for 1 month starting on March 11th. Horror games are pretty popular right now, and the jam is a great way to jump into the genre to see if it calls to you. The theme has already been revealed, so you'll need to make a game inspired by the phrase "Lost in Wonderland." There are also a few bonus challenges to help guide your design if you choose to. So if you're into horror games or just want to see what they're all about, this may be the jam for you. If horror isn't your thing, the Wholesome Jam might be your, well, jam. From March 18th to the 20th, participants have 48 hours to make a game for this low-key, no-competition jam. If you're new to game jams and worried about the competition or judging part, and instead just want a chill reason to make something, this may be the jam for you. The goal is to work together, so this is one of the rare jams I've seen that doesn't allow solo devs. Teams need to be between 2 to 6 people. So grab a friend or a few to chill with and see what you can come up with. If you like the chill nature of the Wholesome Jam but want something a little longer than 48 hours, there's the Fireside Jam taking place from the 3rd to the 13th, giving you 10 days to make your game in a bit more of a relaxing time frame. I know a couple of the hosts of this jam, with Helper Wesley being one of the devs that took part in my Game Jam game show called Ready Set Jam, and Rocky Mullet was one of the top games from the last Vim Jam. So they definitely know their way around a game jam and will make sure to make it a good time for everyone. And while I'm talking about jams with hosts that I know, a really good friend of mine named White Vault will be running the 4th Voltacular Game Jam starting March 30th running through April 17th, starting just in time to squeak its way into the March video. White Vault and I have teamed up on past game jams like Reaper Repeat and Eldritch Eateries, and my game Flyer Kid was made for the very first Vaultacular Game Jam. The jam has a restriction to incorporate of 3 heroes, and the theme will be announced at the start. This is another jam that's all about fun with no rankings at the end, so great for all skill and experience levels. And that's what I have for you for this month. Like I said at the beginning, there's just no way for me to list all the jams happening. These were just a few of the ones that caught my eye and I wanted to pass along to those that may be interested. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes jams are announced after the beginning of the month, so this video may not cover everything that's cool that's happening. So be sure to check the jam page periodically in case something new gets added. If there is a jam that you think sounds fun that I missed, please leave it in the comments below. I'll have another one of these out next month, so be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to see it when it comes out. Happy jamming everyone, and remember to keep your scope small. Thank you so much for watching, and a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters, especially my video producer tier patrons like Baron Earth, Enmark Games, Nightfall, Lauren Morgan, Matzi Makes, Nazar Salim, Pixelator Gadsy, Retro MMO, Salty Pretzel, Scott Hansen, Soapy Gnome, Some Dude, Straight Up Gruntled, Warren Stephen Rose, and Yanni Boy. You're all awesome people, and I can't thank you enough for all the continued support. Best of luck in your jams, and I'll talk with you next time. Have a good one. Later.